My name is Mike DePalma, Vice President of Business Development at OpenText. We will not make this an OpenText sales pitch at all. I wanted to bring in two folks that I know have gone through the journey and they were ahead of the curve with AI. So this is more of not what can AI do in a specific instance, but really what's going to do for your business. What does it mean in the broader sense? What is an MSP going to look like in 5 years? Because there are a lot of changes, right? I am going to bring up a couple of folks. I do want to just announce, because this is kind of new for, if you've been in a boardroom with us, we've talked about it, but we just released actually a partnership with Hatz AI. And Jimmy Hatzell is going to come up. We're really excited about it. We're going to have a little QR code up in a minute that'll allow you to go take a look at that. But I want to just jump right into it and introduce our guests here. First and foremost, we've got Jimmy Hatzell, CEO and co-founder of Hatz AI, somebody that knows this stuff inside and out. Jimmy? Oh, man. And then an MSP that I've known for years and years, and he's been a great guy. I was so happy when I asked him and he said yes. It's Stephen Freidkin from Ntiva. A little round of applause for Stephen. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, so let's just jump into it. First and foremost, I gave a brief introduction, but Jimmy, why don't you introduce yourself, a little bit of your background, so they want to listen to you.
Sure. Hey, everybody. My name's Jimmy Hatzell. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Hatz AI. I founded Hatz in January of 2024. So I've been doing the AI for MSPs thing as long as anyone, I guess. Yeah. But background in the channel, I've worked at various MSP companies and been to many exchange events and know many of you in the room. So very, very excited to be here.
Awesome, Stephen.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Great to be here. I'm Steve Freidkin. I'm the founder and CEO of Ntiva. This is a business I started when I was 13 years old, right in the area around here when girls wouldn't pay attention to me in middle school, and have kind of grown it since then, including a couple rounds of private equity. Today, we're around a $200 million revenue business.
Awesome. So I want to start with, what was your aha moment? I'm honest, not just because you're up here, Stephen, but my aha moment of what AI was going to fundamentally change about the channel was an MDF event we did. And we sat on a panel. Jay Ryerson was on there. I was at ConnectWise at the time. And it was a big room. It was probably 100 folks in there. A lot of them were your clients, but also some prospects. And it was really interesting to see. And that was when I said, all right, the industry is going to fundamentally change. So I'll start with you, Jimmy. I mean, again, you were ahead of the curve. I remember when you told me about this, I was like, all right, good luck, Jimmy. And then you've blown up here. But tell me a little about what your aha moment was where you're like, hey, there's so much potential here.
Yeah, well, look, I had been in cyber and I had seen sort of the progression of cybersecurity over a number of years. From partners and end customers being like, I don't know, I don't think I really need to spend much money on this, blah, 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 to every event being filled with cybersecurity and tons of cybersecurity solutions. But I was sort of like, I was involved with AI. My co-founder, Aidan Kehoe, is the founder of Scout Cybersecurity. We were talking one day, and we knew we wanted to start a company around AI for MSPs. We just didn't know exactly what it was. And then we settled on two things that we believe. So the first is that people would need more help tomorrow than they do today with AI. And that'll be true for a long time. And the second is that, excuse me. What was the second thing? People would need more help tomorrow than they do today, and that'll be true for a long time. And the second is that they wouldn't be able to find that help on their own, and that there'd be more demand for AI tomorrow than there is today. And if both those things were true, I believe that there just wasn't logically another group of people who could do this besides MSPs. Like, it had to be. It wasn't consultants. It wasn't small businesses doing it themselves. It was MSPs. And so, that's when I sort of decided on the path of Hatz. But I remember that moment because it was a weekend and came back on Monday with it.
Yeah, we had a keynote a couple exchanges ago, and I think that was the thing. I mean, I think as a community, we have to elevate the idea across all small businesses that if I want to become an AI-first company, I need to be working with an MSP. It's going to help all of us. Like, that's the messaging overall, that this is not something you want to be able to handle on your own as a small business, and you don't want them bringing in some third party to come in and try to manage your stuff. Now, Stephen, again, you were one of the MSPs that was ahead of the curve. So what was was it an aha moment or was it an evolution? I guess I want to ask.
Yeah, you know, for me, at the risk of being unpopular here, AI is just the next wave, right? I've been doing this for long enough. Both you and I have gray hair. I'm a little jealous, by the way, Jimmy. I know.
It's coming.
But,
It's dying.
you know, at the end of the day, before this wave, you had security. Before that, you had software as a service. Before that, you had infrastructure as a service, virtualization. You know, all of these are waves in technology. MSPs are critical with every single one of these. And if they're helping their customers use the next wave of technology while it's a competitive advantage and before it becomes a competitive necessity, they're creating value. They're the trusted advisor. They're helping the companies and the communities that those companies serve win. So at the end of the day, it became very clear to me that this is just the next one, right? So will it fundamentally change everything forever? Maybe. But at the end of the day, right now, our job as the trusted advisor to our clients is to understand this technology, help our customers know where to use it, how to use it safely, and then use that to grow and ultimately get the outcomes that they want.
Yeah, when we had our pre-day, I did a fireside chat with Jonathan Gibney. Hopefully he's in here watching this. And his main message was, I want my clients to call me with anything that's tech related.
Yep.
He said somebody asked him to set up a generator. And he was like, I'll find a generator guy. And you don't want, again, so if it's AI especially, so I want to kind of piggyback on the question and extract a little bit more out of it. So we had some questions in the boardroom and in the pre-day about like monetization of AI.
Yeah.
And it is a mindset shift, in my opinion. You guys could disagree with me. I mean, for years, when we got into the MSP model, everything was, here's my stack. I'm going to mark this up 30%. Here, I know what I'm going to have. And if you look at AI that way, and I talk about it a lot from the Copilot side because we resell Microsoft, that is not the way I see MSPs generating revenue off of AI. It's more about business outcomes. But when would you got into it knowing it was going to change, but how do you monetize it? And like, how did that evolution happen to understand where the real revenue generation comes from?
Just to be crystal clear, I don't have all those answers even today.
I don't think anybody does.
So every day that goes by, we're trying new ways to monetize it. What I can tell you is at the core of our strategy, we've already been leveraging AI and automation deeply in how we deliver services. Mm-hmm. And to your point of how MSPs, price and create stacks, like at the end of the day, with AI and automation in our service delivery, what is going to differentiate one of us from the next? So, I mentioned, competitive advantage. Once you're past competitive advantage and into competitive necessity, you become commoditized. And that's going to happen to all of us as MSPs and value-added resellers or whatever we are, if we're not coming up with unique solutions to help our clients on their mission, right? So for us at Ntiva, our job is to secure our clients' success. So each scenario is a little bit different, but we have to be listening out for what those look like. Now, I can tell you, every day we're in a war room inside of Ntiva coming up for, like, what's that product that we could put in everybody's hands and repeat for, $25 per user per month? And you know what? We've come up with a lot of them, and they've had limited adoption. Mm-hmm. But when we really get in deep with our clients, understand their workflows, their processes, the outcomes they want as an organization, and help craft solutions for that, that's when we're starting to really see success. How do you scale that? Not quite sure yet.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting, that's why these events are so important, because the only way we get there is through conversations with other MSPs. Who failed with this? How did we do that? Now, Jimmy, you talk to more MSPs on the AI side, obviously, than anybody. So what are some ways, and again, I don't think it'll ever be like a standard set like we've seen over the last 15 years with here's my stack, here's my margin. But what have you seen? You talked to a lot of MSPs that are in this space. What do you see for margin or profitability?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it evolve a lot. I'd say last year, in 2025, especially earlier in the year, a lot of people were seeing a lot of project-based work or other project-based work rebranded as AI. So like, I'm going to do a Microsoft, SharePoint settings, so it can be used with AI, that kind of stuff, yep. Which is important, and it is a driver of revenue, security-related revenue that is now important because of AI. But I've seen this sort of evolve as people have, progressed their AI practices, and it's really about you can make recurring revenue if you can provide recurring value to the customers. And you can do that in two ways, right? You can help them make money, or you can help them save money. And with AI, you can help them, save a lot of money through managing their security spend and scope with AI, where it starts and ends in the organization, helping them set it up, helping them train and upskill different members of their team. Security, what's allowed to be connected to AI, what's not, how can you manage that with all their connected things and applications, because everyone wants to connect everything to AI right away. And without oversight, it's difficult, right? You don't know where things are going. It's going to result in a security incident. And then, of course, spend, right? AI, when people start using it at scale, costs a lot of money. And it turns out that there's a lot of value in helping people choose the right solutions for the right jobs. I had an incident, not a security incident, but an incident the other day where an engineer on my team, changed a setting for a AI code review and spent $5,000 in 2 days. $5,000 in 2 days, right? And we had a spend control that caught it and whatever, but like these things happen. And when people start adopting AI at scale, managing that spend is very important, and there's a lot of value in it. So it's different problems in the beginning versus at scale. But I've seen people work with us, selling on a recurring basis, including in that is managing, all of the security and spend and ongoing training and building agents, that sort of thing. And I've seen people do it, project-based as well. But I think figuring out a way to tie your upside to the increased adoption of your customers is very important, and what that adoption might look like if there's less and less seats being added and AI goes up. Because, right, the promise of AI is that it's going to, solve lots of things and go very far, and you won't need as many, you're not going to need to grow staff infinitely or linearly with it to do as much scale. So if you succeed on doing that, what does it mean for your business? Right, so I think things need to adjust a little bit, and partners tying to sort of the management and spend and delivery of AI are aligning outcomes with the customers.
Yeah, full disclosure, we didn't rehearse this. We wanted to make it organic. So if at any point you want to disagree with me, I would appreciate it. But Stephen, it's kind of something you mentioned, but I also want to expand on that. One of the things we've been talking about, and we've gotten confirmation from a lot of partners, is the one thing, AI will replace a lot of jobs and tasks, but the one thing that gives an MSP an advantage is that AI cannot replace relationships. And so it's interesting to think of like AI, doing all of these things, but it actually elevates, in my opinion, the importance of that relationship. So it's actually the people that you're going to grow business. So Stephen, talk about that. Do you agree with me, or?
I mean, without a doubt, 100%, right? Like at the end of the day, we all crave human connection. And a good trusted advisor, a good partner, a good relationship is what this whole journey is about, right?
Yeah.
So the more of these automations and AIs that we put in place, the more important that becomes. So much so, and I know we didn't talk about this, but I was taking a day to myself this weekend, just really like reflecting and just thinking about the future, right? We're focused on helping our clients make better decisions with their data. How are we doing that? What does the profile of our hires look like? And this morning, I sent this massive email to my chief people officer. And I was like, we need to double down on hiring for behavior. The technical skill set doesn't matter. I want us to ask interview questions to our employees. And I put this on her to come up with better ones, but like, how do you handle grief?
Yeah.
If you have an upset customer and we did everything right, how does that make you feel, and how do you respond to it? These types of questions really dig in a person, right? And we want to have people that, they want to please others. They want that connection. It's not knocking out the ticket and being done. It's having that engagement, remembering, that Susie has a cat named Charles. And all of those little deposits, in Sean Torres's words, right, they add up to relationship capital that's irreplaceable by a computer.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned, to some extent, it will get commoditized.
Yep.
So relationships are the only differentiator, in my opinion. And Sean's presentation was awesome, talking about like the evolution of his business. And I think this is one of those things that's going to make everybody in this room evolve a little bit. But what about you, Jimmy? I mean, relationships, and also relationships with vendors. I will point that out. I think that's important too.
I mean, I bet my whole business on this premise. I just don't think that every small business in the world is going to go log into some AI platform and transform their business by themselves. It's just not reality. It's just not how things work. You guys deal with them all the time. You work with your customers. They need help with technology. They want to be shown how to do it. And yes, businesses will get, one or two people very often that I've seen who sort of get AI, and their AI strategy might be, Jessica or Adam, who like really knows how to do this stuff. But it's not that real value creation in the business. It's not upskilling the whole team. And to do that, you need people. You need people. AI doesn't work without people.
Yeah, I mean, one of the conversations we have often, and came up in a couple boardrooms today, was the shift in the hiring process. That's why I love that answer, because what skill sets are you looking for here? When you're starting to shift your offering and your go-to-market strategy, it's not like you could just take a level 3 tech and throw them in and say, you're our AI expert. You also hear, sometimes you go into a client site and they might know more than you. And like one of the number one things, almost every MSP I talk to, including you when I asked you to join this panel, and I'll say and everybody thinks they're so far behind. They're so far behind. Like I wish I was further on because it's moving. And I think I want to just reassure the audience, because I talk to so many folks, you're not behind. We're behind where we would like to be, but not behind your peers. I think we could all drive that forward. But I think the question I'm most interested in, I think that might be the most valuable for the group, for you, Stephen, is talk about some of the failures. Talk about some of the initiatives that you tried and didn't work. I don't think it was a linear path to where you got, but I could be putting words in your mouth. But
yeah, sure, happy to. I'll start with an internal story.
Yep.
And then if we have time, I can give an external client-facing story. So early on, I think in one of those events we did together, 3 years ago at this point, one of the challenges that I gave to my team is just 15 minutes any day or every day for any use, experiment, try, learn, grow. And I started with my executive team, and they were psyched, right? Like they're like, holy crap. They started to do these analyses, and they went, hey, right now, the biggest complaints we have is with first touch resolution. We're at about 68, 69%. And if we nail it there, customer's super happy, we're super efficient, our cost per ticket is low. But after that, there's misaligned expectations in how long somebody's going to get back to them. They're bouncing around. We're inefficient trying to figure out where to go to with what. So they're like, with this, we can bring first touch resolution up. Let's set it to go from 70 to 90%. Let's see how we can do that. So we all got together and we designed Natalie, Ntiva's artificial thought and language intelligence engine, and we built it to do inbound ticket analysis, parse out the requests of the customers, give the top 5 internal troubleshooting steps that worked to solve those problems before and who did them, give the top 5 external, and then also do a layer of sentiment analysis to see, the ticket's green, customer's happy, ticket's red, the customer's pissed off, yellow, kind of meh, to allow our left brain engineers to turn on all their customer service training skills, right? We thought this was brilliant. We're going to be more efficient. Customer sats are going to go through the roof. Our techs are going to be happier because they know what to do. We build this in like 3 months. Roll it out to the company, get it down to all the techs in the field, service desk technicians, pods throughout the country, and everybody's like, this doesn't work. This is crap. And I'm like, what? What did we do wrong? Like, of course this works. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. No, nobody's using it. It's not working. They're complaining. I'm getting like Glassdoor reviews that we're some, crappy company that doesn't know what they're doing. And I'm like, what the hell happened? So I pull Natalie, and we create these committees. And inside of these committees are the service desk techs, the managers, the account managers, the engineers, and they work for like another 3 months, and they come up with the requirements for Natalie. And I can't make this up. Not a single line of code changed. And we redeployed Natalie, and suddenly everybody's using it and it's working. And our first touch resolution went up. Didn't quite go to 90, went up about 14 points, but still great progress. So huge lesson learned there, right? Which is adoption, buy-in, right? Holy moly, duh, right? As I sit here and I say it to y'all, I'm like, well, of course.
Yeah.
But like, no, I was super excited about it. My team was stoked. We had all this energy, and everybody was threatened by it. When they were part of the creation, they were, they owned it. It became an entirely different solution. So that was on our internal side.
Yeah.
So kind of fascinating. And look, on the external side, I'll make this one much quicker just to share one failure. I can give you many. We have a client I'm very, very close to. This is a CEO I've literally traveled multiple places in the world with, so very close. Big company. They do some really impressive stuff, but they have like some really brilliant senior folks on their team. And like they, I don't want to give too much away about this company, but like they're in every major food place, in the world. If you get something from Starbucks, chances are they've manufactured it, or Panera or whatever. Mm-hmm. And having the logistics behind that, they know that like if there's a bird flu in London over the summer, egg prices next winter are going to triple. So they'll like stock up on eggs and like figure out how to do all of that to manage their margins. And all of that is done in this room of like gray-haired people that have been doing this for years that just know all this flow. So the job was simple. Make an AI do that. Train something to have all of that knowledge. So our job was to go in, talk with these people, and create that system. Well, kind of similar to the story I shared of what went on with Natalie and Ntiva, these guys are like, what the hell? Like, and they don't even know their processes. It's like gut feel and instinct. Like when you got past the like embrace it, because my good friend made it very lucrative for them to embrace it and they were close to retirement anyway, it got to a point of like, they don't really even know the process that we're trying to teach.
Yeah.
It's gut feel, instinct, experience, all this stuff. So don't get yourself in one of those situations, because that was a fixed price project that I lost my shirt on. And at the end of the day, the biggest learning we had from that is we've got to sit down with the client and make sure their processes are documented and clear, or their people can like accurately communicate what they're doing and how. Without that, never a fixed fee project. Maybe we could hourly forever, but that's not going to create a good long-term customer experience either if you just bill a lot and don't drive the results. So those are just a couple quick ones.
Well, that's actually one of your common talking points is buy-in, right? And I know one of the things you are able to do is check, monitor utilization, but expand on that though, because it's one of your messages I've seen when we started the partnership was, the crawl, walk, run type thing. But I think that's a great point about if you don't have buy-in, talk about what successful MSPs are doing on that side.
Look, people are scared of AI, just in general. And people don't want to really admit that maybe they don't know it as well as their peer or whatever. And there's a lot of like shoulders up about AI. And people want to feel or know that they're safe and in control of things, right? So as a technical community, which, I very much, consider myself a member of, there's a tendency to want to jump in on the coolest, most complicated, most, pie in the sky project, especially with AI, because you can build all these cool, amazing things. But meeting people where they're at and bringing them along is enormously important, because it turns out upskilling the majority of a team to use AI and teaching them how to use it in ways that they discover themselves and bringing them along that journey can help a business, in many cases, a lot more than zeroing in on one project with one person who's the AI person at that company who really wants to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. Because, like you said, Stephen, like it's hard to get adoption that way. So, we have been preaching this crawl, walk, run, right? Get everyone using it, safe, secure, get their systems connected to it. Then figure out a use case that's specific to the employee or their team, right? Figure out something that's maybe horizontal across the company, something that everyone's doing every day, and make it repeatable. And then, once you've done that for a couple months or weeks, in some cases, some organizations like to move really fast, then work on those, more complicated use cases and scope out the big project. I even tell a lot of my partners, do not take projects for your first 2 or 3 customers for the first 2 months. Just wait. I promise you it'll come. Everyone who gets using AI, for the most part, will ask, hey, how can I spend more money on this? How can I do this? How can I do that? How can I do that? The demand will be there, but it's about getting people access in a safe and secure way first, so that way they have a context on things. Because there's a lot of 2 people having a conversation about AI, but the one person and the other person don't know what the other person's actually talking about. But if you get people logging in, using these systems, sharing things internally first, then it becomes, okay, yeah, here's how we can, reconcile all of our, billing for the month in an agent in a programmatic way. So that's what I've seen.
I think it's an extension of the relationship conversation. How much more would you strengthen that relationship if now you're getting buy-in from them and they feel like they were a part of this AI journey, as opposed to being the guy that's just kind of directing, here's what we need to do.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that. Now, this is...
By the way, some of our most successful customer stories started when they're asking for it, and we tell them, no, not yet. Right, that really creates that trust and that safety too. Right?
Yeah, no, that's a big thing, yeah. Just be straight up and honest. Now all of a sudden they know this guy is a trusted resource. Another MSP they might have gone to and we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Buy the SKU.
Yeah, buy the SKU, yeah. Now this is a question, I went to a partner advisory council meeting at Microsoft, and one of the things they kept talking about, I don't remember the exact term, but it was results-based pricing. Meaning I'm going to go in there, I did the same thing. I'm going to go in there and if I could show you I saved $60,000, you pay me $12,000, 20% of it. I never understood. I was there 2 days and that's all they were, talking about, all the other CSPs in the room. This is a great idea. I never understand how to exactly quantify one of these projects. Do you do it that way, or have you tried it that way?
It's a wonderful idea, right?
Yeah.
And it's not the first time it's been used. So go remove technology from the equation. You used to have telecom providers come in and charge a percentage of the savings. You had people look through your cell phone bills and this and that and the other thing. And then there would be whatever percentage, they save you over 3 years, some portion of it goes to them. That is crystal clear.
Yeah, quantifiable.
Okay?
You could see
quantifiable, crystal clear. And this is not, right? There's going to be games in it. Right, so to me, I don't think that is necessarily going to work at scale. What I do think you could do is you could sell value billing based on what your understanding of the customer, you sharing 10 clear case studies and referenceable clients showing that they're in a similar industry. This is what you saved them. This is how you do it. So as an example, we worked with a manufacturing client out of Long Island who had Vision ERP and HubSpot CRM, and there was a bunch of double data entry and some automations that needed to be done, and we helped them do that. We charged them, I think it was about a, $86,000 project, $90,000 project, and through that, with that specific company, they were able to free up a full-time resource and also improve the quality of their sales leads. So freeing up the full-time resource very clearly was a fully burdened salary of $126,000 a year. And, I can't take full credit for it, but the number of leads that sat in their pipeline that would close increased by about 15% after we did the work.
Yeah.
So now, when we then looked at our database, what other manufacturing companies do we have? Which ones use Vision ERP? Which ones use HubSpot? Then we had a proactive conversation where our account manager came in, was able to say, hey, we did this for someone else. We can do this for you. Now we knew it wouldn't cost as much to do because we had done it before. But now we're going to be able to do this for you. And we believe we're going to be able to free this up and add this for you. And and I don't want this to come off as wrong, I don't think it is, but we were charging different manufacturing companies different amounts based on their size and scale and how much we knew we would free up and how much that they could gain.
Yeah. So interesting. We could have talked up here for 2 hours. When I knew we didn't rehearse it, I'm like, we'll fill up to 30 minutes for sure.
Are we done?
Well, I want to thank both you guys for taking your time here. This is awesome. Hopefully this was something you get some takeaways from. I know you were at a lot of presentations over the last 2.5 days. My suggestion, having been here, you can take a lot of notes. Just try to take 1, 2, 3 actionable items away from these that you can actually come in Monday morning and start executing on. So I want to thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I know this is the last one of the day, so it's been a long day. Thank you guys so much, seriously. Yeah.